Well, hello, you guys, and welcome. This is the re-recording of my masterclass that I did yesterday. That is on co-parenting, stop arguing, start aligning. Because yesterday it was a great, great class, but I forgot to hit the record button. And I know that some of you missed it. I know that some of you are looking for this information. So I just wanted to make sure that I make it available for you guys on my YouTube channel, and I'll figure out how to upload it to Facebook. As you can see, I am a great therapist. I love being on the camera. I love serving people, giving a message, talking about my experience with teenagers, with mental health, with my own kids, and things like that. Technology, IT is not my department. But I am recording this right now, and so I will. This is the one that's going to go on YouTube and Facebook. So if it's not interactive, if I'm not asking for questions, it's because this is a re-recording. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it because that's just exactly what we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so I can start with my presentation. Again, I apologize for this because I think yesterday's class was very was good. I think I know I was explaining on my stories on my Instagram and Facebook that whenever you're a content creator or you're a speaker and things like that, where you're doing something and you have an audience specifically, like the right words just come out and it seems so easy. And so that's, I felt when I finished the class yesterday, it was 45 minutes, I think, to the dot. And I felt great about it. And I was like, okay, I'm happy. I had my tea, before I went to bed. I went to bed. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was freaking out because I was like, I forgot to hit the record button. So here we are. Let's go ahead and share my screen. And like I said, it's not going to be interactive, but we're gonna make the best out of it. I'm gonna try to remember everything that we discussed last night. Why do I want to talk about this topic? Co-parenting, stop arguing, start aligning, because I see it with my teenagers in my therapy room. And I specialize in teenagers. I used to be a play therapist. I'm still a play therapist. I used to see children in my practice. So I know that children would come in also with this thoughts and with these feelings and with these emotions and the difference between parents and the parents fighting because of them. And remember, children always tend to blame themselves. And this is for parents that are divorced or that even just live in the same household, but they have different parenting, styles. They have different personalities. We were brought up differently, so. And I apologize. I'm dealing with stuff, with allergies, I think, or something, and so I might, But anyway, so we come to a household or we come to a divorce or whatever the situation is, with different expectations, different roles, different personalities. So it makes it hard to be on the same page, and my that's my purpose for this talk today, for this masterclass, is to give information about how to navigate those challenges when you have two very different personalities, two different backgrounds. Opposites attract, right? So when we come to be a family, those personality traits that maybe in the beginning were very attractive or very different or were intriguing, now when it comes to building a family, that's where you really start to rub. And so like I said, I've seen it with families in my therapy room, when I was an educator and things like that. So, oh my gosh, I did not even introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Xochitl Rodriguez. I've been a therapist for 15 years. I was an educator. I've kind of done it all in between. I've been a forensic investigator. I've worked for agencies. I've been a clinical director. I've had my own practice almost for all the 15 years. I take breaks every now and then, just like every therapist does. So, and my specialty is teenagers, because it was a very easy transition to go from educator to um, connecting with teenagers, with children and teenagers. But now it's specifically more to teenagers because I think they're having a big, there's a lot going on with them. There's a lot going on with the teenagers of right now. So we are on, if you're watching this like 20 years from now, we are on the year 2025. We're on June. So let's go ahead and get started because I want to make sure that we get through all the information. So we're going to talk about 5 key principles to make co-parenting easier, more peaceful, and above all, child-centered. Now there is a parenting um, theory that is child-centered parenting. Personally, I do not support all the ideas. It has some good ideas, and the co-parenting of it, especially when there's a divorce, when there's a separation, and there's the resentment, and there's hurt, and there's a lot of things emotionally. We do have to be child-centered, but the parenting style of child-centered therapy or child-centered, just the practice, it's it takes away. So I feel like on that under that theory, which it may or may not have been the intent of it, I feel like children are become very dependent of their parents, become very there's a so there's a codependency with the parents. In my perspective, from what I saw, again, this is I'm not trying to throw dirt on it. I'm just trying to make sure that I send the message very clear that I'm not a child-centered therapist, or not, I don't practice child-centered practices, but I do believe when there's a separation and we have to go co-parent, that we need to be child-centered, just because everything that we do, we have to put some of the emotions aside. We have to put some of the past aside, some of our past aside. And so we have to focus on what's best for the child in that moment. Um, so let's go ahead and dive in. So I'm going to challenge you with some questions. But my first question that is not here, because it's a question that I ask most of my clients when they come through my therapy room, is what are we in control of? So a lot of this presentation, just like yesterday when I did it for the first time that I didn't hit record, trust me, that's never going to happen again. But um, it's something that I practice with every client, and some of these things are going to sound repetitive, just because I know deep down that, I've seen from my experience deep down what the issue is. So I want to make sure that I send the message correctly, that I say what's important and what I've seen repetitively happen and happen over and over again. So some of the things that I say today might sound repetitive throughout the presentation. They're not meant to be, or they're meant to be presented in a different way so that we all kind of get a different perspective, or that we connect in a certain way. But what are we in control of? We're in control of what we do. We're in control of how we learn, what we choose to practice, and how equipped we are as a parent. And I know that you guys know that I have a book. Where is it? I have it right here. I didn't have it yesterday, so today I have it here. I have a book that's called Enjoy Parenting. So if you're struggling with your teenager, this is a great resource. It's a very practical. It's a short read, and actually, this goes along with my online course, Enjoy Parenting, which is a lot more extensive, and it goes through videos and it goes through explanations and examples of different personalities in your children and stuff like that. And this is supposed to accompany that, but you can do this on its own, just to kind of general practice of how to connect with your teenager. And the reason I'm saying this is because when we're pregnant, we buy the pregnancy book, and we buy the baby book, and we buy sometimes a toddler book, how to tolerate, how to navigate the toddler years and stuff like that. But by the time our teenagers become this age, we forget, and we're not very well equipped. So we are in control of how well equipped, how much information we receive of how to navigate these years. Now, we are not in control of the outcome. We're not in control of how our kids are going to react. We can change the way they approach. We can change the way that we say things. We can change different things, but we are not in control of the outcome. We wish the best, especially when we're getting all these tools and we're receiving this information, and we're making sure that we're doing the best that we can, but sometimes we cannot control the outcome. Um, and also, we cannot control the other parent. We cannot control what the other parent does, especially when it's a divorce and we have two different homes and there's step parents and things like that. We cannot control what they do at the other house, what they learn, what they hear, boundaries and stuff like that. So we'll go more into that as we go along with this presentation. So that was my main question, just like a general, kind of question of what are we in control of. Question number one that I want to challenge you with, because you came to this master class today, so this is more specific to the class of today, is what kind of adult do you want to raise? You're not raising a child right now. Yes, of course, your child is a child right now, but I want you to always focus on how they're going to, how this behavior, how this connection, how this, whatever is happening right now, how is this going to look when they're an adult? My parenting style, and I was already an educator when I started having my kids, and I did my master's while I was having children too. I had my two kids in between my doing my master's degree. So I always focus on how is this going to look in 5 or 10 years? How is this going to look when they're an adult? Actually, you guys, I took a long time to actually start this program because I feel sometimes still I felt like an imposter because I truly believe that if you ask me, are you a good mom? I can tell you, well, I have great kids. I have a kid that is almost going to be 19 this month, and she finished high school with an associate's degree, and she's going, she's going to apply for med school, and she's very responsible. She doesn't drink, and she has good friends, and she has a good boyfriend, and things like that. And then my youngest one, she's 16, about to be a senior because she skipped a grade. They're great kids, and she's an athlete, and she's very dedicated, and things like that. Very, very, and we have very open communication. So yes, I have great kids right now. But if you ask me, do you consider to be a good mom? I can tell you, yes, I have a good connection with my kids, but I don't know if I don't know if I'm a good mom until my own kids are like 30 or 40 years old. That's truly what I believe, and that's why it's sometimes it's hard for me to talk about this. But I know I have a lot of experience with this. I know I scratched my head so many times. I read so many books. I've attended so many conferences. I've listened to podcasts and things like that because I wanted to know how to handle situations. I got a master's degree, and then I focused on teenage mental health or child development, just because I wanted to know and be equipped to do the best job that I can. Is it paying off? It looks like it right now, but like I said, for me, it's not going to. For me, I can see it only when they're like 30 or 40 and how they run their lives by then, how independent they are, how self-confident. My kids are very self-confident right now. They're very assertive. I truly do admire, and I just wonder, like, what are they going to do with their lives if I had those personality traits or those skills at that age? Where would I be right now? So, but always, so I'm trying to. This question is more of a general question because I want you to open your mind to not focus on exactly everything that is going on right now, which things are important. The connection is important, but I want you to think about what type of adult you're raising your child to be. They're still a child. I don't care if they're a teenager, they're still a child. Their brain hasn't developed very well yet. So, or fully, so they're still a child. So what kind of adult do you want to raise? Question number two is, are you parenting from your past or are you parenting for their future? Think about this one. Are you parenting from your past, from the way that you were raised, from the trauma that you've had, from the wounds that you have, from the hurt that you have from the divorce, the betrayal, the lies, the things, all these things that happened to you or happened with you in the marriage or when you were a child, when you were a teenager, when you were, things like that. Are you parenting from that past? Or are you parenting for the future? I think this is a very powerful question to ask, especially when we don't know what to do, when we feel frustrated. God knows we feel frustrated when parenting children. And the last question is, from which place do you want to parent? And this kind of goes along a little bit with the last one. Is, do you want to parent from fear? I know that a lot of us were parented in a sense of fear, like God is not, doesn't like that, or God is gonna, do something, or something bad is gonna happen, or Santa Claus is not gonna bring you any presents and stuff like that. Do you want a parent from that, or do you want a parent from hurt that happened in a divorce, that happened when you were young, that happened when the relationship that you have with your own parents, from shame, from resentment, again from your past, or do you want a parent from love? I know that I know that I know that I know that you love your children. Whether you're the mom or you're the dad, I know that you love your children and you want what's best for them. And sometimes when we're dealing with our own stuff, with our own hurt, with our own shame, with our own problems, financial, personal, emotional, whatever, it's hard to see, it's hard to get out of our heads to parent from a position of love. And that's why I always encourage you guys to get your own therapist, do your own internal work, listen to podcasts, listen to books, or listen to books because I do listen to books, but read books and things like that. make sure that you have all the tools necessary that you need to be the best parent that you can be. Because I know ultimately that's the goal, right? That's what we want to do. And that's what we brought kids into this world. So key point number one. So I said, I'm going to give you 5 of them. Define your roles and play on your strengths. So this is one of my best phrases. Divide and conquer with intention. This is not, let me throw this at you, let me throw this at you, things like that. So this is about having an intentional conversation about what are your strengths and where are my strengths. What are you going to handle? What am I going to handle? For example, if you're in the same household, you have different parenting styles. And I know I'm not a morning person. I know I'm not a morning person. So I don't know if you guys know, but I was married for 20 some years, 20, yeah, something a little like that. So most of raising my children were when they were young and we were together. So I was not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. So their dad was, we kind of discussed it, and dad was more responsible for the morning routine, for waking them up, for making them breakfast, for making sure that they went to school, and he would driving to school. And then at that time, I was kind of waking up. And it depends on what kind of job I had, but that was kind of the dynamic. Or the weekend was the same way. Like the kids, when they're young, they will wake up at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, so dad took care of it. So but I was always very well with discipline because I understood child development. I understood expectations. I understood, things like that. So that I knew that was my responsibility. And their dad and myself would have these conversations about how we're going to handle this. This is not about, like I said, having a bad cop, good cop. This is not about kind of, blaming each other or things like that. This is having a conversation with intention about how things are going to go and what's best for the child. What are your strengths? Are you better with structure? Are you better with creativity, with flexibility on the weekends? Do you like to play more so that you can play with, you can be the one that connects with your kids to play if they're younger? Um, why are you teaching your kids? Things like that. So skills like for the boys, for example, if the dad is good with cars and stuff like that, when the dad can teach those things to their boys or their girls. It really doesn't matter who, what gender the child is, but things like that. What are you teaching your child? If you're better with keeping schedule, with creating calendars and things like that. So that's the role that you play. If you're in different households, you have to be very emotionally mature to have this conversation if you haven't had it yet. So, and I talk later because I give you 5 key points, and it's like a scaffolding of difficulty on how to deal with it, right? But I talk later about leaving your emotions behind and being very intentional with the conversations of co-parenting for your kids. Your children know exactly how you feel about each other. Your children know exactly what's going on. Your children pick up on your energy, on your tone. They know you as much as you know them. Just remember that. So even if you don't say anything, but your attitude is negative, they will pick up on that. Divide parenting responsibilities accordingly, not equally, but intelligently. I've seen this a lot of times throughout my years of experience, that a lot of times us moms, we're like, well, I'm going to let your dad, take care of that. I'm going to let you dad, you just be careful because your dad is coming and your dad is going to be the punisher. Your dad is going to be the this. And dad ends up being the person that is responsible for discipline, for yelling, for, for grounding them and things like that. And that's not the right, relationship that you want your kids to have with their dad. Or if it's vice versa, it might be mom too. So it's just change the roles. Like for me, I talk a lot about girls because I have 2 girls, but this applies to boys and to girls about different roles because I play some roles and their dad play roles and we keep playing those roles even right now. So even being divorced, we have good communication and we keep the communication just about the co-parenting and the expectations that we have. And so my children know that doesn't matter what happened, doesn't matter what, for, the reason for the divorce or whatever, but they know that dad and I were always on the same page when it comes to them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're going to be there for graduation. We're going to be there for events. We're going to be there, for things like that, for cheer competitions and stuff like that. But we're also going to be there like, hey, did she get there on time? Hey, or what time, what kind of curfew, or is it okay for her to go on a trip with her boyfriend, or things like that. So we always start in communication, so our kids know for sure that we stay with a very open communication because we're putting them first. We are very child centered. So allow space for each parent to show up fully in their role without micromanaging. This is very important because I know a lot of us, we like to do things a certain way, and we expect our ex-partner, our partner, our grandma, our moms, their grandma, to do the same, to do things the exact same way that we do it, to put the exact same snack, to do the exact same, snap routine or sleeping routine, or have the same curfew, have the same screen time expectations and stuff like that, same conversations. It's not that way. It is absolutely not that way. We have to let those expectations go, because if we think we're better than everybody, then you're removing the value of what your ex-partner or your partner or their dad or their stepdad or whoever, you're stealing the value that they can bring to the table. And your kid needs that. Okay. So very, very important. Key point number 2, respect each other's parenting styles. And again, this is a scaffolding, so this is just a little more expansion on what we were talking before. But different does not mean wrong. Because they do it differently does not mean that it's wrong. Avoid telling the other parent how to parent. Focus on coordination, not perfection. So use tools. I have it here. Use tools like a shared digital calendar, Google Calendar, or whatever other app that you want to have, or a visibly planner and like family planner to align logistics. And this is if the couple is in the same household. And involve the kids in this. I remember my kids were very young when I created our Gmail accounts. I mean, they were like third grade. And they were responsible, even when we were in the same household, they were responsible for putting things in the calendar, for putting cheer competitions down, for putting, auditions down, for, the showtime, because my oldest was a theater kid. So, things like that. The kids were responsible of putting it in there. We would check to make sure that they put in the right time, the right location, and things like that. But we involve the kids in this so that they feel like they belong, and this is part of a family activity or family responsibilities, everybody's responsibility to be on the same page. So, for example, if the kids are young and you have a night routine, a bedtime routine, and you do bathe them or whatever, read them a book and things and that or whatever, you put them to bed and that works for them. But then what dad does that because you're busy or because of whatever, they do it differently, then respect how they're doing. You don't have to tell him, and I'm saying him just because I'm the woman, right? But you don't have to tell him exactly how to do it, exactly to do it the same way that you do. Let him experience that some things don't work. Sometimes, if they play rough, or if they're playing a lot of video games late at night, well, yeah, the kid's not going to sleep well. If the kid's going to, bother you in the midnight and there was dad's turn, and they went, so let dad handle that. It's like, well, this is your night. So, if you live on the same household, divide the days. You get three nights, he gets 3 nights, and then the 7th night, nobody gets a bath and everybody goes to bed at whatever time they want to go. But divide it and then move away. And then let them handle it the way they want to handle it. But you can just say like, okay, so that's how you want to handle it, that's fine. But if they wake up in the middle of the night, if this happens or that happens, then you're responsible for whatever happens, for the consequences of the choices that you made. So you can tell them, this is what I do. You can do it the same way. You can do it your own way, and they're going to do it their own way. They're going to maybe apply some of the things that you said, but not necessarily. So recognize that men and women may approach parenting differently. Both styles add value. Your kids did not ask for mom, did not ask for the dad. They did not even ask to be born. So, but we know that there's value in those relationships. A lot of the times, we don't even allow the dads to be dads because we want to control the outcome. We want to control the situation. We want to control the way that they do things, and we're not allowing them to do the things their own way. So, for example, if And we see this a lot, especially like in social media. We see, people making fun of this kind of stuff. It's like, well, you're not doing it right, so let me do it again. So, or you're not doing the bed right, and it's, I don't want you to do it anymore. Let me do it my way. And we don't allow them to. And it applies to parenting too. So we don't allow them to explore and to learn and to give them the space to be parents. So make sure that we give the space. We don't have to micromanage. They don't have to do the same things that we do, and they can do it differently. Respect households' differences. So this is where you guys are separated, or where there's a divorce. One home, two sets of rules. And I see this so much. People fighting over this. But again, sometimes it's our need to control, and we don't need to control. We need to accept and let go. Don't expect your ex-partner to enforce the exact same rules that you have at the house. If they don't have a bedtime time, if they don't have rules about screens, if they don't have, that's them. You are going to have headaches, lose your sleep, and things like that because you're trying to control their environment at their home, and that's not your role anymore. That is not your role anymore. So teach your children that different homes may have different expectations and that that's okay. Trust me, children know. They understand the differences. Since they're very young, they understand the differences. Your kids are 7, 8, and you're divorced and you're two different households. Tell your kids, Dad does it that way, I do it this way. We don't throw dirt at each other. We don't throw dirt at each other. I do it better. He does it this, things like that. We don't. That is so unnecessary. All we have to do is I do it this way, they do it that way over there at that house. It's just different. And that's it. That needs to be the end of the conversation. Now you'll learn why in a little bit in the next one or two slides. Focus on consistency on your own home. So it's very important that especially if you have different rules in different households, that you stay consistent with the expectation at your house, that you communicate that expectation. Yes, at 9 we turn off the phone, and you make sure that at 9 you turn off the phone, or the phones are charging my room or whatever. Don't do it in the living room. A lot of people do the living room. Kids sneak down at night. Yes, they do. You might not notice, but they do. So, like I said, focus on your own consistency and your own life, and communicate openly about transitions. Explain to your children are not dumb. They understand. You might have to change the language if they're younger. You might change the language if they're older, but your children understand the difference. Have open communication, not by throwing the other parent under the bus. That's not the way to do it. If you're having to do that, you're questioning the way that you're parenting. So it's like, well, I'm going to make them look bad so I can look better. We don't want that. We don't want that. So just communicate with them and they will understand, even as young as 7, 6, 7 years old. Leave personal emotions out of parenting. This is so important. And I think this is the most difficult part of it all. The first three, we're talking about expectations and how to manage, how to navigate, and things like that. It's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And, that's easier. That makes sense or whatever. Maybe that you had an aha moment here and there. But I know that the first three slides are talking about what's best for your child. This one's about what's best for your child, but this is the hard part for you. Leave personal emotions out of parenting. Ooh. Especially where there was an ugly divorce, if there was infidelity, if there's betrayal, if there's this, if there's that, if there just the things that the chemistry did not work, and it was, even if it was a friendly divorce, they're still hurt because of the separation, because it was, so many years or whatever. Leave your emotions out of parenting. Parenting is a team effort. If you have whatever emotion you have towards your ex-partner, or even your partner in the same household, if you're having issues with each other, focus parenting on the children. Child focus parenting. So Any decisions that you make, anything like that, it has to be about the child. Don't let resentment, past conflict, or personal judgment bleed into your parenting decisions. Focus on collaboration, not competition. It's like, well, he's bad or she's bad, or she does it this way. It's not right, and this is not right, and this is not right, and this is, and there's a lot of emotion, personal emotions towards the adult, like within the adults, and we let that bleed into our parenting, and this is not healthy for our children. It's not about who does it better. It's about collaboration and doing it together. Your children did not choose their dad. Your children did not choose their mom. Your children, they did not choose for you to be divorced, did not choose to. I know that's each other's adults' responsibility. I understand that has to stay away from co-parenting, from the relationship that you're building with your child, with the relationship that you're building with your ex-partner, to make sure that you're parenting appropriately. This is where the loopholes happen, where parents are focused so much on their bickering and their differences and their betrayal and their hurt and their resentments, that we lose sight of what's important. And what's important is to do what's best for our child, to communicate on our child's for our child's sake. That's what's important. If one parent does not cooperate, adjust your behavior without speaking negatively in front of your child. So yes, you were the adult that was part of the divorce, whether you're at fault or he's at fault or this or that. It doesn't, and when it comes to your children, it doesn't matter. What happened between adults. Leave it outside. Focus on what's best for your child. And yes, if your ex-partner is at this and at that and at this and at that, and you have to, and don't cooperate and they don't communicate and they do whatever, and they have another whatever. Your child knows already, first of all, without you even telling them. You don't have to remind them. And then you have to overcompensate for that sometimes. Yes. I'm not being overcompensated by buying them more Lululemon leggings or by taking them on to Disney every year. That's not what I'm talking about, overcompensate. You might have to overcompensate on boundaries, on communication, on the things that are important to connect with your child. I know that was a hard truth. I know. So protect your child's emotional identity. Don't turn your child into the battleground. I know. So we know this. We know from research that children of divorced parents they tend to blame themselves. They already do, but why? Because of the communication that we have as parents. Speaking negatively about the other parent can emotionally harm your child. Your child is half you, half the other parent. What I have seen in my private practice before is that children internalize the negative comments from the other parent. And then the parent that is speaking ill of the other parent, the child sees the other parent that is being thrown under the bus as a victim. So the parent that is actually doing the talking ends up being the bad person here. Even if you're not, even if you are, or whatever, just the fact that you are not able to control your emotions and control your opinions about their parent, your ex partner, or even if you live in the same household, that is going to negatively impact your child. Kids may internalize those comments and feel like they have the bad part of their parent because they're half the other parent too. So remind your child that it's okay to love both parents without pressure or guilt, that you guys are different, that you guys are not perfect, that nobody's perfect, and you're doing the very best that you can. Oh, and I just realized that there's a typo here, key point, key point number 5. So anyway, so I just noticed that right now, and this is the second time I'm doing this. But I can tell you this. I'm going to close up with some final comments here. Always, always remind your child that you love them. Tell them that you love them until their ears bleed out. Yes. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you're gonna be there, always be there for them. Tell them that you love them unconditionally. Tell them that whatever happened with the adults is not their fault, and that you love them more than anything in your life, because I know that you do. I know that you do. Remind them every time you see them. Send them a text message. Communicate how much you love them and how much you're going to be there for them. Remind them that you're not perfect. Remind them that you are doing the very best that you can with what you know and what you have. Now you can get books where you can get more educated and learn more and have tools. Um, so you can be more equipped to handle your teenagers, especially because that's my strength. But always tell your child they love them. That is never going to be too much. They might tell you that, especially if they're teenagers. They might tell you that's too much. Make it weird. Make it weird, you guys. Tell them that you love them. You're going to be there for them. If you guys know Brene Brown, I love her materials, but she talks about the sense of belonging, and your kids want to belong to you, whether it's the same household or it's different household. They want to belong to their parent. They want a sense of belonging. They want a sense of connection. They want a sense of, so you open that gate and you make that connection by telling them that you love them, that you're not perfect, that you always be there for them, that you love them unconditionally. And if you follow me on social media, you guys know that loving your children is the only unconditional love that I do believe in. I know there's marriages and they might have been, 50 years together or whatever. Um, I think there's always conditions with that. At least they should be. Um, no abuse, no infidelity and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that's not a whole other master class. But tell them that you love them unconditionally, that you're going to be there for them. Spend time with them. They don't want to spend time with them, make the time. Remind them, keep texting them. Text them every day. Text them once a week. Text them whatever is more comfortable for you, but remind them that they are not forgotten, especially to different households, even their adult children. Keep reminding them that you love them. Keep reminding that yes, things are difficult. Yes, parents didn't get along. Yes, parents got a divorce. Yes, parents are from two different cultures. Yes, parent, whatever. But you are making the effort of doing what's best for them because you love them. Closing thoughts here. Your child didn't choose your relationship dynamic, but they do deserve the best from both of you. Um, so again, this is extremely important because we know divorce affects children. Most of the children that have been through my therapy room have gone through a divorce or have gone through, they have step parents and things like that. A lot of them, they will tell you that they feel okay, that they're okay, that, and they're happy for you, but still they question. They always question. And it's valid. It's a valid, situation. And a lot of us know that they will not understand until they grow up and they're in a similar situation. But at this point, they have questions and they want a sense of belonging and connection. So if today's masterclass recording sparked your reflection, or just more, you want to be more equipped to, and like I said, it's this for teenagers to you want to be more equipped to communicate with your teenagers and connect. Go to Enjoy Parenting. So go to my website where you're going to find my online course, Enjoy Parenting, where I offer an entire framework. Is 5 topics. We deep dive on communication. Communication is a huge one. We deep dive on boundaries, freedom. What are the other ones? What do you call it? Honoring their personality and their own personal purpose, and how to set up consequences and things like that. So it's very important that we learn how to do these things so we keep that connection with our teenagers. So like I said, the online course offers like a very deep dive into those topics. They're very short videos. They're 15-20 minutes. So each topic, so there's 5 topics. Each topic is divided into 3 subtopics, and each subtopic has a 15-20 minute video. So you can watch one, like practice what I'm talking about, the next week, and then the next week you've watched another video and you practice that, about that topic and things like that, so you can keep growing your relationship with your child. Also comes with, so if you buy the online course, it comes with a digital book, but I also have this on Amazon, so you can buy it on Amazon. It's Enjoy Parenting's guidebook. So that will also help you if you choose not to go on the online course. A lot of people, what they do is they buy the book and they're like, yeah, I need a little bit more information. I don't give a lot of fluff here. Not, I don't give a lot of clinical background, a lot of clinical, terminology and things like that, because I want you to have what you need, the practicality of it. I also offer one-on-one coaching for parents who need personalized guidance. So if you buy my online course, you get two one-on-one coaching sessions. It can be at the beginning, it can be at the middle, it can be the end, or whatever, so that we deep dive into a personalized guide for you connecting with your child. We know every family is different, every family dynamic is different, so it's very important that we understand each other. But also, if you don't want to buy the online course, you want to do one-on-ones, I also offer that for parents, and I offer them by packages, because parenting is not a one size fits all. Families, we're very complicated, we're very complex, we have a lot of emotions, a lot of past, and things like that. And the things that we want to pass on to our kids are love, compassion, assertiveness, and all the good things. So I am your host, Xochitl Rodriguez. Those are my socials where you can find me. And my YouTube, I'm going to post this on my YouTube. And I also have a podcast in Spanish that talks about general mental health. I am completely bilingual and bicultural, so I do have a podcast in Spanish too. So si hablas español, también puedes encontrar mucha información sobre salud mental ahí. Remember that this is not therapy. This does not replace therapy. If you need help, reach out for a local mental health professional. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop sharing this and let me see, stop recording. Oh my gosh. Okay, where is it? Is it this? I need my glasses, you guys. You get to see uh the backstage of this. Bye, you guys. I found the button.